90% of Americans are dealing with some type of mental illness. And the percentage is going to get higher. It's going to get worse if we don't do anything to stop it. There's states that legalize marijuana, and kids are using marijuana at an early age. Kids are drinking alcohol at an early age. Kids are smoking cigarettes at an early age. These drugs affect the mind. These drugs affect the mind. Alcohol and drug dependency is a unique, irreversible, progressive disease. And this is going to be our new pandemic. Why am I saying this is a new pandemic? We are at war. We are at war. Why am I saying we at war? The brain on drugs. Stay tuned, and I'll tell you why. The brain on drugs starts off with the war that is against you. The brain on drugs starts off with the war that is against you. You are at war, and you don't even know that you're at war. Someone don't like you. If they did, they wouldn't sell you drugs. The devil does not like you. The devil is not for you. He wants you to use drugs. He wants to kill you. He wants to have power and control over your mind. So you are at war. The brain on drugs starts off with the war that is against you. How long are you going to continue to let the devil control you? How long are you going to continue to let the devil control you? When are you going to rebuke the devil? Because every time you buy drugs, every time you use drugs, the devil is being in control of you. So you are at war, and you don't even know that you're at war. The brain on drugs starts off with the war that is against you. Someone don't like you. And you have the power to say no. No. You have the power to say no to the drug cartel. There wouldn't be a drug cartel if you wouldn't buy drugs. If you didn't buy drugs, there wouldn't be a drug cartel, because you have the power to say no. You have the power to say no. So the brain on drugs starts off with the war that is against you. What you are being exposed to is your enemy. Why is it your enemy? Because you take it and use it. So it becomes your enemy. You take it and use it, knowing the effects, knowing the harm it will do to you. So it becomes your enemy. So what you're being exposed to becomes your enemy, because you are willing to buy it. You are willing to use it. So it becomes your enemy because you know the harm that it can do to you. Poison is used to manipulate and control individuals. Poison is used to manipulate and control individuals. So like I said, your enemy is the devil. Right? Your enemy, whoever's selling you the drugs, is your enemy. He wants you to be poisoned. He wants you to have mental health problems. He wants to control your mind. This is called formamica. Formamica. This is called formamica. And formamica is sorcery. And those who do sorcery will not enter the kingdom of heaven. Will not enter the kingdom of heaven. This is called sorcery. Formamica. What you're being exposed to becomes your enemy. Poison, 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 poison. Anybody that poisons you don't like you. They want to kill you. They want to kill you. They want to kill you. So, former Mika, a drug dealer is nothing but a sorcerer. A drug dealer is nothing but a sorcerer. And this is a form of Mika, sorcery. Anybody that produce drugs, bad drugs, anybody produces bad drugs in the lab, it's like a witch. A witch. What did a witch do? She's trying to figure out how to poison people. She's figuring out how to poison people that she don't like. What do you think? That's a drug dealer. A drug dealer is nothing but a sorcerer. Former Mika, a person that does sorcery. So a drug dealer is a sorcerer. The type of person who sips chemicals into a woman's drink and take advantage of her. So they are mind raping you. The drug cartel is like a person who slips chemicals in a woman's drink and take advantage of her. They're raping you. They're raping your mind. They offer you drugs. They want to take advantage of your mind. They know the harm that drugs do to you. They know the harm that drugs do. They don't care. They want your mind. They want your money. They want your mind. And you give them your money. Idolatry, drug use, hatred, jealousy, anger, outbursts, selfish ambitions, conflict, factions. This is a drug dealer. This is the drug cartel. Idolatry is you, the person that's using drugs. Idolatry, you in love with the drug. You in love with the drug. Idolatry is the same person that's selling you drugs. He in love selling you drugs, selling you something bad. Drug use, hatred, rivalry, jealousy, anger, outbursts, selfish ambitions, conflict, factions. You continue to do these things, you would not enter the kingdom of heaven. God warns us of these things. He says, do not do these things. And this is your drug cartel. This is your drug cartel, and this is your drug dealer. Former Mika, they're sorcerers. Those who live like this will not enter the kingdom of God. They will not enter the kingdom of God. For many years, they have commercialized and target Black and Latino communities with substances. For many years, they have commercialized and target Black and Latino communities with substances, with illegal substances, with drugs. So they continue to target Black, African-American communities, Latino communities here in America. When you see commercials, you see somebody look like you, they're targeting African-American communities. They want your mind. They want your mind. They are your enemy. And this is not a racist thing. So I'm not talking about white folks. White folks are not your enemy. Demons are your enemy. Principalities of this world are your enemy. It's not a race of people that's your enemy. The principalities, the demons are your enemy. So this is not a racial thing, but they are targeting African-American communities and they are targeting Latin communities. Why? Why are they targeting African-American communities and Latin communities? Well, they're targeting African-American communities because there's trauma there. Anytime you had slavery and you don't know who you are, there's trauma. So you're easy target because the trauma is already there. So now they just got to get you to be worse and worse and worse off. In Latino communities, there's some trauma there. There's trauma there in Latino communities. What type of trauma there's some trauma there. There's trauma in white communities. There's trauma. Anytime there's trauma, you get commercialized. The enemy's commercializing you. You see somebody that looks like you, right? Anything that is opposite of God, anything that's a stereotype that is opposite of God, anything that's an idol. When African Americans, when you idolize thugs, right? They can commercialize that to you because that's what you like. You like looking at thugs. You like looking at thugs. You like looking at rappers that drinking alcohol, that's smoking marijuana. So they commercialize that to you because that's what you like. Latino community, if you like looking at Scarface, you like looking at gangsters and all that kind of stuff, you idolize that, then they commercialize that to you because that's your idol. And those people like to use in drugs, they like to drink alcohol, they like to get drunk. Because you like it, the devil's going to give it to you. He's targeting you. If you go on YouTube right now and you go to certain African American influencers, they're drinking, they're smoking, and they're influencing you. They're commercializing their bad habits to you. These are not role models. These are not role models. The enemy comes to steal, kill, and destroy. When are you going to pay attention to that? The enemy comes to steal, kill, and destroy. So who is your enemy? He is selling you drugs. He's stealing from you. He is stealing your mind because he knows the harm that it can do to you. And you buy from him. You buy from the devil, and you continue to use drugs. The enemy is just looking at it and laughing. He's laughing. He comes to steal, kill, and destroy. He doesn't want you to enter the kingdom of heaven. He does not want you to enter the kingdom of heaven because we are children. We're God's children. He is trying to destroy you. When that's going to click in your mind that there's your enemy out there trying to kill you? Why? So you cannot get ahead. So the devil can have power and control over you. He wants power and control over you. He wants to kill you. He also wants you to influence others with your wickedness, with evilness. He wants to take your money, and take everything from you. Your money, your mind, everything. Your soul, everything. They profit from your sin and they sell you sin. They profit from your sin and they sell you sin. The drug cartel, they profit from your sin and they sell you sin. Even some of your governments sell you sin. They profit from your sin and they sell you sin. Your government, yes, they profit from your sin. They legalize certain things. They sell you your sin. They put you in prison and they're making money off of you. Every time they arrest you, they influence you with certain things by TV or radio. And then when they arrest you, they profit from your sin. They sell you sin and they profit from your sin. How long are you going to continue to allow that to happen to you? How long are you going to continue to allow that to happen to you? When are you going to say no? The brain on drugs starts off with the war that is against you. What peace can there be so long as there is a whore and there's sorcery? And whoring and sorcery is your mother. Whoring and sorcery is your mother. A whore is people who engages in sinful activity for money. You're a drug dealer. A drug dealer is a whore. Every drug dealer that sells you drugs is a whore. Is a whore. Because they are engaging in sinful activity for payment. And every time you buy drugs, that drug dealer becomes your mother. That drug dealer becomes your mother. That drug dealer that is a whore becomes your mother. Why do I say your mother? Because a mother provides nutrients. When you have a mom, when there's a mom, she provides nutrients for her children. She provides the milk. She supplies the nutrition. She supplies everything that that kid needs. And so when you continue to go to a drug dealer, that drug dealer becomes your mother because you're addicted to drugs. So long as you're addicted to drugs, you keep going back to your drug dealer mother, that's a whore, and she keeps giving you things that you want and that you need. You want the drugs. Like I said, there wouldn't be a drug cartel if you wouldn't buy it, if you say no. The drug dealer is your mother. And that drug dealer is a whore. A whore is a person that engages in sinful activity for payment. If you have extreme admiration for that drug dealer, this is sorcery. And this is called idolatry. You in love with drugs. You in love with a drug dealer. That's not idolatry. You worship drug use. You worship drug use. And those who do idolatry would not enter the kingdom of heaven. Would not enter the kingdom of heaven. You have the power to say no. You have the power to say no. These merchant drug dealers are called the great ones of the earth right now. These merchant drug dealers are called the great ones on earth right now, and all the nations are deceived by their sorcery. All South America are deceived by their sorcery. South America is deceived by drug dealers and their sorcery. Other countries are deceived by drug dealers and their sorcery. These whores. There's government whores. They're selling you bad things. They're selling you sinful activity for payment. They're selling you marijuana, sinful activity for payment. They're whores. And you keep running to them. So they got you deceived in their sorcery. These merchants are murderers. They don't care. They know they're killing you. They don't care. They're murderers. Their sorcery causes people to murder and be involved in sexual immorality. They cause other people to sin and causing people to do sexual immorality. A lot of women get on drugs. A lot of people get on drugs. They start they have sinful behavior. They start doing sexual things that they normally wouldn't do. They cause themselves to to do sexual immorality. The drugs cause them to do sexual immorality. And the drug dealers know this. And some of these drug dealers, they're raping women. They poison them with their drugs and then they're raping them. These merchants are murderers. They're rapists. And this type of behavior would not enter the kingdom of God. Every time you use a substance knowing it is not good for you, you're putting yourself in condemnation. You're putting yourself in condemnation. The judgment is already on you because you continue to use that substance. You continue to use the substance. You continue to damage and kill yourself. You're putting yourself in condemnation. Idolatry. You in love with something that does not belong to you. It is not a substance of God. The brain on drugs starts off with the war that is against you. Why do I say that? Why do I say you're living in condemnation? You're putting yourself in condemnation because you're being deceived. You allow yourself to be deceived because you know that drugs doesn't belong to you. You know that drugs are harmful to you and you continue to use it till you allow yourself to be deceived. You allow yourself to be deceived. I'm asking you, brothers and sisters, when are you going to say no? When are you going to rebuke the devil? Rebuke the devil. You have power over the drug cartel. You have power over your enemy. You have power over your enemy by saying no. Rebuke the devil and he will flee. Where are you going to stop allowing the devil to take advantage of you? When? Ask yourself that. When are you going to stop allowing the devil to take advantage of you? When are you going to stop allowing the devil to expose you to things that does not belong to you? Rebuke the devil by saying no. And you have the power to do that. You have the power to say no. And you don't have to use drugs because you have the power to say no. The brain on drugs starts off with a war that is against you. There's a war that is against you. Now, mothers and fathers, when your kid die by using drugs, or your loved one die by using drugs, it is not the president's fault. Stop blaming the president. It's not the president's fault. It's that person that's using drugs' fault. Because they don't have the power to say no. They don't have the power to say no. Only time when it's the president's fault, when he allows the drug cartel come in this country and sell drugs, come in this country to kill innocent American citizens or innocent people. When you're a president or you're a governor or you're a mayor that allow drug dealers to take over communities, and you have the power to stop it. You have the power to stop it. You're allowing innocent people to get killed, and you have the power to stop it. So those governors, those mayors, those presidents, those people that are in power, the people who vote for you put you in power to protect them. Because we all know that the person that's using drugs have the power to say no, but you also have the power to protect them, to arrest these drug dealers, to arrest the drug dealers, to detain the drug dealers, to arrest them. These drug dealers are whores. And those governments that allow drug dealers to be out there, and those governments that are getting paid to harm people, you are a whore. You engaging in simple activity for payment, you become a whore. So the brain on drugs starts off with the war that is against you. And we have the power to stop this war right now, protect ourselves and protect others by saying no. By saying no. South America, you have the power to say no. North America, you have the power to say no. In other parts of the world, you have power to say no to drugs. The brain on drugs starts off with the war that is against you. Alcohol drug dependency is a unique, irreversible progressive disease. In certain individuals, each incident of substance use chemically alters the brain. If you continue to use drugs, it's going to affect your mental health. If you continue to use drugs, it's going to affect your mental health. A progressive process of substance use, that means you continue to want drugs. Like anything else, when you continue to do, it becomes an addiction. So you have powerful cravings. And when you have powerful cravings and you become addicted to these drugs, you got to seek help. You got to go to the hospital to seek help. If you continue to use drugs, if you continue to use substance use, if you continue to use drugs, it's going to affect your body. It's already affecting your mind, the way you think. It's going to affect your body. It's going to affect your liver, your kidneys, your lungs, and other organs. This is going to get worse and worse and worse and worse and worse if we don't put a stop to it. This is going to be our new pandemic. Why? Because states are legalizing marijuana. Drugs are coming in from the drug cartel. Kids are using drugs at an early age. Alcohol usage is getting worse. Kids are smoking cigarettes. It's affecting the young lungs at an early age. These things are getting worse and worse and worse and worse. A delayed response, if you don't get help, you can die. You can die. Substance use disorders can get worse and worse and worse over time and over time if you don't get help. And so 90% and 95% of Americans will be affected by a mental illness. 90% and 95% of Americans will be affected by a mental illness. This is going to be our new pandemic. We are at war. We are at war. The brain on drugs.